All right, I am here with Ethan. He got second place at today's locals. Ethan, what are you running?
Hey, what's up, guys? Second place once again. This time, not Altergeist, Dinomorphia. Unfortunately, someone else took my Altergeist spot, but he got first. I'm not too happy. I'm pretty happy with how I did today. This was one of my favorite trap decks. Really strong. It's a little less heavy on the trap part control, whereas like this one brings out a skill drain on the body, and makes it really difficult for your opponents to play through. So if your traps get like Harpy Philibustered or Cosmic, it's not the end of the world just because you do have that one monster to keep you in the game. So we're gonna start with 3 Dinomorphia Thursia. This is one of the only 2 monsters on your deck that you really are playing to get your combo started. This one's really nice. It's like the marionetter of the deck. It sets a card directly from deck, and that can't be Ash, so it's really nice having that little privilege. Usually you're setting one of your fusion spells, but if you already have them, this card has a searchable counter trap, so that's always really nice to, if they do have a Harpy Philibuster, you have a way to negate it. And then if this is destroyed at special summons, the counterpart from the graveyard, Diplos, not the greatest normal summon in the world. He sends a card from deck to grave. Usually you're sending one of your traps. He becomes better late game, in my opinion, just because Katragina, the one fusion monster, can copy a trap's effect in the graveyard as a quick effect. And so later on, when you feel you're graded with traps, this just becomes like a really strong card. We played the one best dinosaur card, Miscellaneousaurus. Fortunately, my other dino deck isn't quite as good, but this being at 1 in this deck is perfectly fine because just being able to search it off Fossil Dig makes it so your already really strong skill drain body is now unaffected by card effects. So it's like, what are you going to do about it?
Is this standard in Dinomorphia decks?
Yeah, I would say so. Just because when you're running Fossil Dig, you might as well run the one, because if you already draw 1 of 2 of these, you don't even really need either of these. But if you already, might as well search something that'll actually like protect your end goal. I don't play any hand traps. The only one I play is a going second Lava Golem. Since you're running mostly traps as your way to special summon monsters, you don't need that initial summon on your first turn because you're setting up. So if you go second ever, this is just such a good card because I resolved this multiple times in one game, multiple times, and it's just super good. Burns them for damage. That's always nice. That's just a little bonus. But yeah, unrespondable. It's just a great card. I want to see people playing this more just because it's so good. Then we have our spells. 3 Duality, just because this is one of my favorite cards to resolve in the game. It's just such a nice consistency card. Get you your pieces, get you your traps. Then we have Fossil Dig to get you any of your monsters. Like I said, all 7 right here. The one card of Demise. This card is fantastic if I can find it off Duality. It doesn't come up that much because it is at 1, but when you do resolve it, most times you're winning the game just because you're going to have a full back row. And then the one called by, I think everyone should be playing this, period, no matter what deck you're playing. Then we're going to move on to our traps. We're going to do 3 Frenzy. This is your best card in the deck. Fusions 1 from deck and 1 from the extra deck, allowing you to go straight into Rec Room if you want. A lot of times you're going to go to Katragina first just to get your life points a little lower, which is funny because most decks do not want that. But yeah, it's super good. So if you know your opponent has a potential disruption, you can just go straight to your big guy. But unfortunately, this is ashable, so it's a little scary. Then we have 3 Domain. This is going to be your second fusion. Not quite as good as the first, but it's still really good. You can do from deck, so it allows you to still get full combo because you can just do 2 from deck if you want. And we're going to do 2 Sonics. This is your spell trap negate. For the deck, it requires you to destroy a Dinomorphia monster. Like I said, if either of these 2 are destroyed up here, they can special summon the counterpart and then trigger the effects also. So it's really, really solid because you're not really losing much by doing that. Like I said, counter traps, just super good. Can't respond to it unless you have a counter trap. And then 2 Brute. This is you can destroy a Dinomorphia monster you control and destroy 2 cards your opponent control. I believe non-targeting. Really good disruption. I should have used this card more today. I was fighting the Altergeist player, and I didn't use this card nearly as much as I should have, just because protocol can't be negated. And I'm like, wait. So, pretty good card. And then the 1 Alert. This specials up to 2 Dinomorphia, I believe, from deck. Didn't use this one at all. Honestly, you could just cut this one if you wanted to, but the thing about having so many traps like this is, like I said, Kentrigina can copy any of these effects, plus they all have effect damage protection. Same with attack damage protection. So it's nice to have a mix of both, and just so to keep you in the game longer, just in case your opponent tries to burn you for a little damage. And then to the generic traps, we got 3 Imperm. It's just a staple in every trap card deck. Super good. Then the Strikes and the Solemns. Pretty self-explanatory here. Really good, powerful cards. Protects you from your spell trap removal. And the fact that these both remove and negate is just huge. Then we're gonna move these up a little bit. 2 Gravediggers, one of my favorite personal trap cards in the game, just because burns them for 2,000 damage, negates them. Even if it doesn't remove them to the graveyard, most of those effects are once per turn anyway, so you know at least a lot of those in-hand, like Long Yuan and a bunch of those graveyard and banished effects, they're only going to be able to use it once, negate it, get them to 2,000. A lot of times they have to pay costs or something like that too. It's really solid. And the last trap, I like putting the 1 trap trick just because it gives you access to the Gravediggers if you want, or any of your fusions, or if like bare minimum, you can just get an Imperm out of it. It's just a really solid card. The only downside is you're gonna have to resolve this last because it locks you out of trap, so that's the turn. But that's usually not that big a deal. It's like a last resort kind of deal. But that is the main deck. I believe that is a 41 cards. So it's pretty solid lineup. Moving on to the extra deck. What I like about this control deck is they're able to kill a lot faster than most control decks. Starting with the main objective of the deck, you're always going to want to try to get him out as fast as possible before your opponent has any moment to put up any disruptions. He is a skill drain on all activated effects on the field, plus he has a quick effect to make everyone's attack your current life points. So a lot of times you can bring them back into that skill drain range if they have a monster that's low attack. Like if you're fighting against Flunderies and they send them like a really small monster, you can make the small monster the attack and negate it. It's really handy. Then the second most important monster is Catcher Gina. This one that copies the trap effects, allows you to fusion summon essentially twice in 1 turn using your trap, just to get you the most mileage out of it. So it's really strong. Usually this will get into this. Underrated card. When I first started playing this, I didn't really understand. Like he's just mostly fodder for your fusion trap to send from extra deck to grave. But this one late game is really good because late game you have Solemn Strike in your hand or on the field and you have less than 1,500 life points. This one makes it so you don't have to pay life points for activating those traps anymore, allowing you to continue to disrupt your opponent even with like 100 life points. And then that's all that really matters for the extra deck. The rest is just filler. We got Nightmare Phoenix for any disruptive back row. Reapodocus, it's a unique sort of interruption to change their attribute or type. It never came up. I don't think it will come up for a while, but it'll be neat if it does. This one's pretty standard. Dark the Dark Charmer lets you get into Unicorn. I like to bridge them like this. Just super simple. Unicorn just being a really good card. Mech Knight Avermax. I'm never going to make a link for, if I'm being honest. And then a card I want to see people use more is Genie or Transverser. Just swap controls of the monsters in the link arrows. It's super nice. A lot of people don't play around this kind of thing because like Linkus Anima and Transverser, just super strong cards. But that is it for the extra deck. And I'm going to go to my side. We have, I was just testing this one out. Didn't come up that much. Shared Ride. This is really good, I think, in combo decks, or decks that like to draw a lot of either combo extension pieces or hand traps. In this deck, it didn't really come up because you're going to need to go first to get the full mileage out of this card, and drawing traps isn't really going to do anything. The only thing, my idea was I can search into my Lava Golem easier for going for follow-up. But I just don't, I wouldn't recommend, but I recommend something else, maybe like a Dark Ruler or just another power card. 3 Rivalry. This card is really good in combination with the Kaijus and Lava Golem, because if you Lava Golem your opponent and then flip this up, a lot of times they're actually in a really bad spot. They can't get rid of either of them, and they have to kind of work with what they got. Almost ran this in the main today, and honestly, it's a really good option to do so. I just decided to run the Gravediggers and the Trap Trick today, just from a choice. Nibiru, this card will forever be good. People do not respect this card whatsoever, especially with just the amount of like Tier Elements and Math Mech especially. Just the Cybers decks, they all just lose to Nibiru pretty hard. DD Crow, I think this is almost a mandatory, at least in the side, just because Tier Element, and even like the lower tier decks, like at the moment, like Invoked isn't that good, but it's still a great card against Invoked. I can't think of a deck that's like really like bad against. And then I'll just do, I forgot one side deck card today, but I did 2 Game of Seal just to increase the amount of tributing power I have for going second. Just because this deck, you're mostly doing at least a 6 card side every time you go a second, just to guarantee you have like one of these power cards. But that's it for the deck. I really enjoyed the consistency that came up today. Like I said, you have like 3 of each of the fusion traps plus duality, and that a lot of times will get you almost every single game, at least something you can do.
Awesome. Do you have any shout outs?
Like always, shout out to Evolution Games and MSU Yu-Gi-Oh Club.
All right. Thank you.